ghetto.
Ooh, girl, that's ghetto.
What's up, family? We're going to today. What are we going to? All right, what's going on, family? We are back. We are live with the Ghetto Foundation. It has been a minute. We're back in it, and I appreciate you for tuning in today. Today, we're going to talk about some cosmology, some indigenous science, some Aboriginal science, and this is going to lead us to also realize more of our heritage when we think about our own curriculums that's based on psychology coming from the science of our people that were indigenous here to Americas. And so we have some relative happenings in the world that allows us to be present with what we could pay attention to in this moment in time. And today I'm going to actually use a couple of different screens to share with you a visual to our presentation here. And so unofficially, we could call this Murder, She Wrote, Case Study Analysis via Aboriginal Science, casted by Key2Cellph and narrated by yours truly, Vessel Jael. Right? Y'all follow me on Instagram and subscribe to the channel here at the Ghetto Foundation. Okay, so we all know what recently happened, right? Your boy, Charlie Kirk, was offed, a day ago or so. And oh yeah, here we go. And so it's just very interesting because these happenings in life are present because of two primary laws in nature, which is the law of possibility and the law of cause and effect, or causality. And so right here we have on the screen a wonderful sister by the name of Aquarius and Maximus on Instagram. She's like been the only one on social media, at least in my perception, or I don't follow too many people like her, but she's been the most relevant one to my knowledge who has been consistently advocating and showcasing this science that involves using cards, the 52 deck of cards, to depict or observe certain manifestations of energy potentials. Okay, so shout out to the sister Aquarius Maximus who's been holding it down on Instagram. And however, the thing about her and so many others that are sharing this science is that they're all missing one piece to it. And the one piece that they're missing to is that this science is tied to a particular heritage of people. And this particular heritage of people are indigenous to the Americas. Okay. And so the people who originated with this science, this first psychological profiling system, they are the first Americans here in the North America and South America geographical land masses. And so this is a visual depiction of those people and found in one of the oldest pyramids that predates the ones in Africa. The ones that predate the ones in Africa are, well, let me say that again. The ones here in America, or there are pyramids here in America that predate the ones in Africa. And on the inside of these pyramids, they have depictions of people on the inside of these pyramids where they have murals and depictions and hieroglyphics and things. Here's the hieroglyphic of this people, right? These are some of the signs and symbols that they used. And here you see in these phenotypical depictions, they are melanated and they have long hair that's wrapped, and also in some other ones you see locks and things of that nature, which people often refer to as dreads. But the point that I'm getting at is that with all of those individuals who are out there talking about this science, there's only one group of people who are actually making the ancestral connection using this 52 deck of cards to psychologically profile an individual or an event or a circumstance as an energy expressed in a functional or dysfunctional manifestation. And so I want to give a huge shout out to those I've been able to learn from who are a part of this heritage and that have also been able to remind me that, you know, my heritage being indigenous to the Americas traces back to this original people. And so that is often and certainly so the case for most modern day African Americans, because there's a truth there about our heritage that's been hidden for so long, so very well, you know. And that hidden truth is that there's a couple of them. The first one is that, you know, not all of our ancestors were brought here from Africa. A greater majority of us were already here, just reclassified, relabeled from Black to Negro to your modern day African American. And the original identity, the original heritage of that group of people that has been displaced all throughout America to this day are direct descendants of the first Americans. Okay. And so shout out to those who were able to put together materials that are allowing us to come back into these levels of awareness and who we are, you know what I'm saying? And so shout out to this brother here by the name of Ba'ak Amaru. Brother Ba'ak Amaru is one of the first students of a Aboriginal institution that has been reestablished here recently. Back in 2006, this Aboriginal institution, it's called Aboriginal University, was chartered within the jurisdiction of a tribal government. And the name of that tribal government is the Aboriginal Republic of North America. And so within the institution of education, it's called Aboriginal University, those who are able to teach and who are able to administer classes have went through the institutional standard of compiling their resource and materials into a dissertation. And so this brother here was the second brother, really like the first student of this institution to produce a dissertational body of work. And this dissertational body of work is called Change Your Mind, a study on the origins of reinstitution of indigenous astro studies and calendrical sciences and calculating on human psychology and psyche therapeutics. So we're going to jump down to chapter 12, but let's look at the table of contents here. Okay, so after the preface, we have chapter 1, correcting American chronology, chapter 2, where we come from, chapter 3, the King's List, chapter 4, writing heaven on earth, chapter 5, as above, so below, chapter 6, aboriginals versus mutations, astro studies, chapter 7, in energy we trust, chapter 8, historical prophecy and practice, chapter 9, indigenous psyche therapeutics, chapter 10, aboriginal versus mutations, psychology, chapter 11, instituting order out of chaos, chapter 12, aboriginals versus mutations, cartomancy, and chapter 13, inner self-study. Okay, so we're going to jump down to chapter 12 and hop back into our discussion for tonight. Wow. All right. Okay, yeah, here we go. So tonight we're here to talk about death, energy, security, and defense reading. Don't get your wings clipped early. A case study analysis on the following individuals, and maybe somebody else different. But the point here is that there's actually a couple of things that we're going to briefly go through, but know your days for highest potential of death to avoid and up security, right? The universe is an algorithm that can be intelligently observed and calculated, therefore foretold and prophesied. And so with that in mind, the point here is that I guess in human nature, the first thing that we must all learn is the first law of nature, which is self-preservation, which also translates to love. Okay. How much do you love yourself? Do you love yourself enough to avoid anything that can cause harm or kill you? And at that point in time, it's just a matter of your level of self-awareness. All right. So the point that I'm speaking from is a level of awareness that our indigenous ancestors instituted into a system that can be actually mathematically expressed and understood. And so that is the science that we're going to use today to realize our case study analysis for the individuals who have been gone too soon, to say the least. And the point here, the additional point here is value of self. How much do you value yourself? So just remember that one point right there, okay? And so before we go to the next part, what are the cards of death in this psychological profiling system that uses the 52 deck of cards? And there's a little bit more context that I didn't give, but I don't want to be too lengthy here, or as they might say, too deep for the intro, but context is absolutely key. This 52 deck of cards is a part of this system that, like I said, our ancestors depicted in a mathematical science. And this is the same system that astrology comes from, numerology comes from, the law of correspondence originates through. And actually, here's everything all in one. Okay. And for now, we'll just call this nature's book. But here you have all of the elements, which is fire, and the top right is spade, the first element of nature. Air, which are clubs, second element of nature. And then the third element of nature is water, written as the hearts. And the fourth element of nature is a combination of all of them, right? Hydrogen, which is H, oxygen, which is O, and water, which is a combination of two hydrogens and one oxygen. And then this last fourth element of nature is the carbon. And it's the combination of all these things that bring memory for transcription, translation, DNA into, physical matter. Think of crystals and the various minerals that are structured in crystal structures. So not to get too deep here, but let's bring it back, keep it relevant. The point here is that there's a lot of new age psychological systems that people are, very familiar with. The most modern one is the is one that they use in professional world settings, Myers-Briggs test, right? That's like the most modern new age science for psychological profiling, right? But the very first one was this system here. And that's some of the context that we're going to preface here before we jump in. All right, so we're going to start with your boy, Charlie Kirk. And in this system, we have the ability to look at the energy potential of an individual's psychology. You remember in the movie Matrix when Morpheus was telling Neo that no thing exists outside of your mind? Think of that. Your whole entire so our indigenous ancestors here to this mathematically wrote that into a sequence that's continuously existing through the pattern of life, aka the Fibonacci sequence. Right? Have you heard about the Fibonacci sequence? If you haven't, go look it up. Okay, so let me just like delete some of this space right here. But in order to realize the psychological experience of an individual, there's like so many different levels that you can look at. And so we're going to jump straight in to uh, like in real time, right? Not just based on the individual, but the individual in the context of others, you know. And now that's another law of nature, which having an experience in proximity to others is it pretty much is guided by these two primary laws of nature: the law of causality, which is cause and effect, and the law of possibility. Okay, so whenever you're doing these types of readings, you know, you can look at an individual's psychological profile, and there's 13 aspects, right? And so, you know, that's a whole nother study hall that, you know, one can get into. But today we're going to go straight into death card energy defense reading. And so doing that, we're going to have to look at the individual's psychological experience in real time. And there's a certain mathematical equation to do that. And to understand, you know, why or how, and not only how, but just the point of being able to know your potentials to have an experience that is the manifestation of an energy that's a part of the natural cycle, right? And so the two cards here that are associated with that experience are the Ace of Spade and the Nine of Spade, right? These are the cards of death in the system, right? And so what is the Ace of Spade? So again, these cards are symbols and representations of energy potentials. And in our science here, um, we describe the potentials of energy as a polarity, and the polarity being one of two different opposites. So here, what are we calling that? Functional and dysfunctional. So energy can manifest as being functional or dysfunctional. And so the keywords and experiences associated with the energy of an ace of spade is described here in this functional and dysfunctional description, right? So on the functional side, it says starting new work, ambitious business person, esoteric mysteries, initiation, and death, right? Death is a functional thing. And then on the dysfunctional side of this energy manifesting or this energy potential is death, and also being a very selfish worker. And so one other little point of correspondence here is that here you have the system as a whole. Like when you think about astrology and numerology and all of these other things, they've been isolated. Like they are literally isolated parts to the whole system here. And in this psychological profiling system, you have 13 archetypal profiles, or also known as the 13 ancestors. And these are just some keywords associated where within the law of correspondence, you have, you know, the elements that are tied to one of the 13 ancestors. And then you also have the numbers corresponding to the planets. And so there we saw one, aka Hoon, Oshala, Ra, the Sun, Ace card. Right now we're talking about Ace of Spades. So then the next one we're going to talk about here is the 9. Also known from other indigenous names such as Bolun or Bolon, Ogun, and then most modernly Mars, which is a Greco-Roman name for the celestial body that we often refer to as a planet that has a certain magnetic impact on your psychological profile, along with the 8 other planets. And so when we look at the Nine of Spades, the Nine of Spades manifestation of energy is expressed on the functional side as the perfect will, universal will, completion of work-related tasks. And then on the dysfunctional side, it's death end of work, loss of job, severe health problems. And so a theme of, associated with the nine are things that are endings, completions, disappointment, loss, energy, action, and transformation, renewal, rebirth, right? But the rebirth is like, is the ace. And so there's actually one more piece here before we're going to jump into the actual case study. Context is key. Let's go through chapter 12 real quick, and then we're going to go straight through it. Okay, so in chapter 12 of Minister Ba'ak Amaru's dissertational body of work called Change Your Mind, here we have Aboriginals versus mutations, cartomancy, and he's given some really great context to New Age science, right? And the systems that are popularly used today to use these signs and symbols to analyze and observe and correspond certain profiles to experience. And so it says the first European to institute the cards of destiny system was only Richmond with his secret order of the Magi. But the Muslims had the card system in Al-Qibalan, which is modernly known as Africa, long before this. It spread into Italy and further parts of Europe during the Renaissance period. Richmond successfully studied the cards system so far as debunking many erroneous perversions of it, such as the 78 card tarot of the Catholic Church and the Gypsy tarot. He identified the Catholic Church and the Pope as the great enemy of his secret order of the Magi and the enemy of science. He even suggested that the Magi of this ancient Egypt were not the founders, and he directed people not to fall for any substitute uses of the cards, for there are many. In a sense, he became as close as a stone's throw to the origination of the system, or the test book, as he called it. He believes that a lost continent called Atlantis was the point of origination for the card system. He considered this landmass allegedly sunken into the Atlantic Ocean to be heaven on earth, and the cards were its Garden of Eden. His mistake was not recognizing that America itself was the heaven that held the source of the cards. As the author has outlined in this text repeatedly, the most advanced astronomical and cosmological sciences are products of the Aboriginal Black populations of the Americas, who are the originators of the prophetic system in question. Dr. Ali Muhammad was the first person post the Holocaust known as the transatlantic slave trade to properly identify the Zulukin or Zolkin calendar as the source of the cartomancy and connect the ancestral systems to the cards. The calendar around, or the Ahau table is the cards. And what is he talking about? This is the round table of a house, right? You see the words there? Ahau, ka ahau, Oslahun ahau, Bullock ahau, Balloon ahau. See these ahaus, there's 13 of them. No other adepts to cartomancy and divination have known and proposed this lineage other than Muhammad and his students. Upon review and usage of the mystic quadrate system reading wheel software originally made for Thomas Morrow, there are differences from our Shi system. The name of many card positions are different. Here he calls our Pluto result position card the trans Pluto card. Here he calls our cosmic lesson card the Magi crown cosmic lesson result card, the moon card, the cosmic transformation, the phoenix card, and the horizontal moon, the synastry card. And he calls our environment cards return cards. Okay, so this is just a little final piece of context. Shout out to Dr. Amaru Namataga Shiali for being the first one to erect our Aboriginal minds through institution and tribal jurisdiction. We are all, well, those of us who are bringing forth this level of awareness that's applied intelligence are byproducts of these institutions. And so even today, today's presentation is a byproduct of this institution. And so we're going to go straight into being able to realize, especially for not only ourselves, but we have a community of people who are very susceptible to being taken out by opposition. And so in our highest level of awareness and intelligence, not only can we protect ourselves, but we can also offer this as a service. And so here on this flyer that we put together, this is a service that's going to be available for high profile individuals. And if you would like to learn more or become a client, just send all your emails or questions to the following email there, where it says defense at Key2Cellph.org. All right, so let's hop straight into it. So one way I like to describe what we're looking at in comparison to the various levels that you can observe from. The first level is you observe the individual psychology and who they are, right? And it's based on their birthday. And so in this system, every single day of the year corresponds to one of the 52 cards. And that's the calendar exactly right here by the wheel. All right, so if we're looking at your boy, Charlie Kirk, it's a very unfortunate experience to happen that we all had to witness. And but here, along with others who have experienced that same reality, we're going to be able to understand some things. So your boy Charlie Kirk, his birthday was October 14th. And so in order to look at the energy potential of yourself for defense and security purposes, you have to know who you are. Start with yourself, right? So who is Charlie? His birthday is October 14th. So what card corresponds to the 14th? It is the 8 of Club. Okay, so that's where we're going to start with. And essentially what this is going to lead us to, and this is pretty much going to be the conclusion of our presentation today, is being able to look at your energy potentials in real time on a daily basis. Okay, and so being able to look at this, you can see things ahead of time. You can see things in the past and you can see them in real time. And so the point here in the service that we're able to offer, in the awareness and the intelligence that we're able to offer, that goes hand in hand with defense, and just think about preservation of life, first law of nature, love, is being able to know your potentials to experience certain things ahead of time, and specifically death, right? So we're not going to go through all of the calculations. We're just going to go through the case study analysis, and we're going to look at the energy that he was set to experience in real time. And then we're going to just look at like 3 or 4 more examples, and just to annotate the pattern, right? Because there's a certain pattern, right? At the beginning here, we said the 2 cards associated with the experience or the energy of death is an Ace of Spades and a 9 of Spades. So when we're looking at an individual's experience using the cards, pretty much these 2 cards are going to be in very relative positions. And these relative positions are the positions where people tend to experience death, whether it's something that's through the law of possibility, like somebody else trying to take you out, or something that's naturally occurring. You're suffering from an illness, and your magnetic field collapses. All of your organs, your tissues, your whole body just collapses to 0 in terms of the cycles per second of your brainwave activity, right? Because this is what all of this is corresponding to. It's the elements, the celestial bodies, aka the planets, and their correspondence to the magnetic field that your psychology is a part of, right? So without further ado, let's get straight to it. All right, we got to bump our screen up for real. So we can see what we're looking at. All right, so we'll just stay here. So let's start with your boy, Charlie Kirk. All right. He was 31 at the time of his death. RIP, respectfully. And he was born on October 14th, 1993. So his psychological profile is annotated by 3 different cards. Those 3 different cards are the 8 of club, 4 of spades, and the ace of heart. So whenever we're looking at his energy, those are the cards that we're going to start with, okay? And so what we do is we pretty much start with his birthday, and then we come all the way to the date that he experienced the manifestation of this energy potential, which is going to be in the 48th week of his 31st year. And this corresponds to plate 39. So we're going to go to plate 39. Now, this is a very interesting plate for so many reasons that we're briefly going to touch. The first one here is whenever you're looking at a plate, you always look at the card at the very top dead center. This is called the crown card position. And in this crown card position, it is an ace of diamond. And so, as I was saying earlier, the first most important thing to the human experience is the value of self. And this is what an ace of diamond corresponds to. If you go look up the definition associated with the ace of diamond, what does it say? First one up top. Desire for value, possessions, financial achiever, great financial idea, money hungry, selfishness, and finances. But internally speaking, ace is, the individual, and diamonds correspond to value, property, finances, assets, things of that nature. And that is the first thing that we are realizing. And it's relevant because, like I said, the first law of nature is the value of self. Do you value yourself enough to increase your awareness to avoid things that can cause you harm or death? And so we're looking at the plate that he's on for this week, and his week starts on what day? It starts on a Tuesday. And it starts on the week of the 9th. So the 9th is the first day of the week for him. All right. And you know what? Let's just do a little split screen. All right, boom. Play 39. That's where we are. So who are we looking for? We're looking for your boy. Let's see here. Let's put it on this side. Let's keep it relevant. We're looking for your boy who's an 8 of club, 4 of spade, and an ace of heart. First day of the week is the 9th, the day that his energy potential for death manifested was on the 10th. So we're going to go to his card right here, 8 of club. So the 9th would be 10 of club. The 10th would be a 10 of diamond. Okay. Now we're going to look at his other 2 cards. But remember, what are the 2 main cards that represent the energy potential for death? It's an ace of spade and a 9 of spade. So that's pretty much where we're going to end up at, right? So going to his other card, it's a 4 of spade. Here you have the 9th and the 10th. And there is an ace of spade directly underneath, okay, which is one of the particular positions that people can experience the energy potential of death, the manifestation of death, right? And so the other position is in the card before. So The card before the card that he's on, which is Ace of Heart, is a 7 of Diamond, and then the card above. So if you had an Ace of Spade in this position or this position, or below, or being on the actual card that you land on is an Ace of Spade or a Nine of Spade, those are like the highest potentials for death card energy. And so here we see the manifestation of this energy potential, right? And so the next one that we're going to take a look at over here is your boy George Floyd. Now, this is very particular because George Floyd shares the same birthday and the same exact birthday as Charlie Kirk, October 14th, just born 20 years earlier, right? So the saying goes, history repeats itself. Well, a little bit more accurately stated, energy repeats itself. The manifestation thereof is a Fibonacci sequence. It's life that's always coming back around, right? You have energy into manifestation, matter, substance. And the other interesting about this case study analysis here is that George Floyd was on this exact plate during the time of his death. And so here we have, on to the next, the birth date of George Floyd. He was age 46 at the time of his death. And the day that he manifested the potential, the energy potential of death was on the week of May 19th. So what plate are we going to? For May 19th, we're going to plate 83. And so what are his cards? They're the same exact cards because they have the same exact birthday, right? The 8 of club, the 4 of spade, and the Ace of heart. So one thing that we didn't look at in reference point was Charlie Kirk's third card. We'll look at it here for George Floyd. Well, let's go back real quick. So Charlie Kirk, his other card, his primary cards are 8 of club right here. Boom. Ace of heart right there. Boom. Boom. And a 4 of spade right here. Okay. And so on this Ace of heart, he had the death card energy coming towards him. So, you know, if we was part of anybody's security detail and offering this as a service, we would be able to give you just a date, a list of your dates where you have the highest energy potentials for the manifestation of death, which could be, you know, somebody trying to kill you, or, you know, accidents do happen, right? Is there such thing as a coincidence or an accident? Do you have free will? Is your timeliness to die already predefined in time? And most certainly it is. And we have to, you know, be intelligent and, you know, honor ourselves, value ourselves enough to learn the science of our heritage or pay somebody who can look out for us, you know. In other words, contract with them. So let's go to the week of George Floyd, plate 83. Same cards. Ace of, 8 of club, Ace of heart, and oh, what's the other one? I forgot that quick. Oh yeah, 4 spade. So where's the 4 spade at here for your boy? Boom, here you are. Okay, so first day of the week is a Thursday. his day of the week starts on the 19th, and his day of death was on the 25th. And so the other point that I forgot to mention here is that our experience in life is predefined by two primary laws in nature that we said earlier, which is the law of possibility and the law of cause and effect. Right? So your boy Charlie Kirk was saying that he believed Derek Chauvin should be um, exonerated or just something freed, even though he was perceived to be the cause of his death. And Charlie Kirk's argument is that George Floyd had a cardiovascular disease that was the cause of his death, and not a fixation by having a knee to the neck. And he was saying that, because of George's health, he already couldn't breathe before he put his neck on him. And according to the video, that's actually the case. He was saying before he went down on the ground, he was saying, I can't breathe. And so here you have the alignment of the law of possibility, that day, he was in a setting that was escalating the manifestation of an energy potential, couldn't breathe, which would lead him to experiencing death. And then you also had another external environmental force, such as Derek Chauvin, applying pressure to his neck and restricting his ability to breathe, and therefore increasing the potential for him to experience the manifestation of death card energy. And so the point here is that, there's times when you could have pretty much been in life or death, a life-threatening experience, but you didn't die. And simply put, the reason why is because it just simply wasn't your time to go. You didn't have the energy potential there for you to experience that reality. And so here we're looking at George Floyd. Ace of Heart, 8 of Club, and 4 of Spade, which is right here. So let's start with the day of the week that he's on. He is on the 19th, and he died on the 25th, which is the last day of the week for him. So the last day of the week for him is a 9 of Spade. So how do I read that? 19 starts with the Jack of Spade, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Your boy is on a 9 of Spade on the 25th day. And what is the 9 of Spade? That's death, that's just on that side. Last day of the week for his Ace of Heart is a 6 of Spade, caught right in between both death card energy potentials. A 9 of Spade right there, an Ace of Spade right there. Boy, that's my boy was stuck in a rock, between a rock and a hard place right there. Certainly he was stuck in between a rock and a hard place. And then, all right, let's see where the 4 of Spade energy is at. The last card is the 8 of Diamonds. The 8 of Diamonds card is like the fame card. So like, people who experience functional expressions of the 8 of Diamond, they experience fame and popularity, so that's George. Let's go to the next one. Who do we have? All right, so Kirk off, George off. The next one is Kobe, right? This was iconic, man. Y'all know Kobe. He actually had some things going on in his life outside of his control that may have also contributed to the manifestation of this death card energy. A lot of people don't know that he was involved in a very high yielding legal battle with a pharmaceutical company. And they wanted the rights, they wanted the intellectual property, copyright, patented ownership to the name Mamba. And I think the name Mamba was like a part of a certain pharmaceutical drug that they were coming up with at the time, or that was the name of the company. And so it was just ironic that, during the height of this battle, our dear and beloved brother was X'd out of here. Okay, so let's check Kobe out. Let's see who he was working with for that day. All right, so at the time of his death, he was 41, and he was experiencing the manifestation of this energy on January 26th. So what is the psychology of Kobe? His birthday being on August 23rd. What card is that? Right, George and your boy Kirk shared the same birthday, but Kobe is a whole nother psychology. So August 23rd, come to the calendar. Boom. August is the column right here. And the 23rd is a 3 of club. Okay. And so the other components to his psychology is a 3 of spade and a jack of club. All right. So we're looking at your boy Kobe. And in order to look at him and the manifestation of his death card energy potential is on plate 84. Whoo, my goodness. Same plate your boy Charlie and a plate before your boy George. What are the odds that we selected this combination of individuals to do a particular case study analysis on? There's no coincidence at all. Okay, so here we are. Your boy Kobe is a 3 of club, and we're gonna look for the 3 of club. Damn, cannot remember. My memory not that good, y'all. It's getting better. 3 of club, 3 of spade, jack of club. So 3 of club is here. Boom. Look what we see already. Ace of spade right there. Ace of spade right there. All right. He's a 3 of spade. So where's that 3 of spade? Boom. Right here. Okay. You see the energies around him. Okay. His other card is a jack of club. Boom. You see the other card that's there? That's the other card for the manifestation of death and its energy potential. All right. So he's got both of them in 2 out of 3 of his psychological profiles, right? That make up his psychology. And the first day of the week was the 25th. And the day that he transitioned was on the 26th. Okay. So first day of the week starts with Saturday for him. All right. Saturday. Goodness. So Saturday would be Ace of Spade day. 4 of heart would be Sunday. So Saturday is the 25th. 4 of heart is the 26th. Now, interesting enough, when Kobe transitioned, he did not transition by himself. He transitioned with his young daughter. Just crazy. His family member. All right. And, you know, if Kobe had us on our team for his security and detail, hey, we'd have been like, hey, bro, you got some serious potential for the manifestation of this death energy. Chill out. Don't bust no moves today. You know what I'm saying? Spend time with your family and do something new, like a new work with them. But your boy was taking a trip with his daughter in a helicopter. And here we see the manifestation of this Ace of Spade energy potential, which is death. And it's also connected to that 4 of heart. And very unfortunately, his daughter was a part of that tragic accident that took place. And, you know, RIP to Kobe and his daughter. You know what I'm saying? Legacy still lives, to say the least. And do we need to look any further? Yeah, let's look at his other card, the Jack of Club. Boom. So the 25th is a 9 of spade. That's card energy. The 26th is a 3 of heart. And so the point to be drawn here is that, you know, you don't have to be on the direct day of a card for death card energy to experience the potential, right? So he was caught in, like I said, a legal battle, you know, a triangulation between 2 parties, confusion, and they were battling over a really great idea. You know, Mamba, the name Mamba was the representation of Kobe and his mentality of success and his legacy and his integrity and his character. It was all pretty much illustrated before us on the basketball court. It's a great idea. And then another little nine of spades there. So, all right, need we look anymore at Kobe? Let's go to the next one. Don't want to be too long here. Who are we looking at next? All right, we're gonna look at your boy. Who's next? Let's jump straight down to your boy Donald. They attempted to knock Donald off the magnetic field. They attempted to collapse his magnetic field, right? And they had an unsuccessful attempt. And so, simply put, I guarantee you the day that Donald experienced this, or the day that Donald did not experience this potential for death, is a day that we'll see on the plate that he was on. And, we won't see death around him, right? So whether he orchestrated or not, even if it was real, if it wasn't, he would have survived. He might have been in critical condition for some time, but he would have survived. So let's look at your boy Donald. A lot of people say, yeah, it was scripted, it was staged. And who am I to argue? It's not what I'm here for. We just observe the happenings and we seek wisdom behind the manifestation of life. All right, so I guess it's this plate right here. Plate 10. The day that his assassination attempt was on July 13th. And who is Donald Trump? His birthday is June 14th. What card is he? So June column and the day corresponding to that card is the 14th. And it is a 3 of diamond. All right, so he's a 3 of diamond, ace of spade, 9 of club. Now, I know you might say, hold on, wait a minute. What does it mean if you have the death card energy as a part of your psychological profile? Well, in order to understand that, we just go back to the other associations and manifestations of that energy potential, right? It's not limited to an experience, but it can also describe the psychology of an individual or the experience that you may have. So here, the ace of spade also translates to, on a functional expression, as starting a new work, because the ace corresponds to the element fire, which corresponds to work and labor. All right, work and labor, work and labor. Ace is initiating, therefore starting new work. Another key word, ambition, ambitious business person. So, ace of spade energy in anybody's experience, whether it's a moment or a part of their profile, is like they're an ambitious business person. Like they really get after and initiate, their own work and labor. And Donald Trump certainly is a great representation of that. He got into certain industries and, initiated certain successes by being that ambitious in his industry. And so it also represents esoteric mysteries, initiation, and death. Right. So if there was anybody to fake an assassination attempt or death, it might be somebody who got the ace of spade, card, a part of the psychology. But there's no coincidence, right? But let's go to and it's also not limited to, you ain't gotta have the ace of spade, a part of your psychology, to try and fake your death, Let's go over to plate 10. Plate 10, your boy is a 3 of diamond. Where's the 3 of diamond? He's also ace of spade and a 9 of club. So the 3 of diamond is here. Okay, we got a little 9 of spade relevant, 3 of diamond is here. Where's the ace of spade? Ace of spade is there. All right. And then his other card is a 9 of club. So this was on July 13th, and the week that we're looking at is the week of the July 12th. So the 12th, the 13th. So 7 of club is the 12th, 4 heart is the 13th. And even just this right here, the jack of club on top of the jack of spade, that's an annotation or denotation of lying, deceit, right? The jack of club and the jack of spade are associated with like deceit and mischievous and being, youthful energy. And the common attribute of youth is lying. So, or selling something that's like, it does sound good to be true. All right, let's look at his other cards. So boom, boom. Oh yeah, so another jack of diamond energy, which is values. All right, his other card, boom, boom. All right, ace of spade. The 12th is 7 of heart, and then the 10 of club is the 13th. Now, the 10 of club is known as the mental or the teacher's card, right? It has to do with demonstration before large groups of people and having success in the public, So interesting combination for him, but neither of those days was he or did he have the death card energy relevant to him enough to experience, that potential. All right, who's next? JFK. Yeah, let's jump over to JFK. That was another, just keeping it relevant here, from one presidential assassination attempt to one that actually went through. Let's look at your boy JFK. So Donald Trump, he's still on the map. They didn't get him, or he didn't get himself. Let's go to your boy JFK, okay? JFK was born on May 29th. So May 29th. Here we are. And we'll go all the way down. 28. So the next one below this is 29. He was a 3 of club. All right. We may have a error in what we've identified. So let's correct it. It was not a 5 of club, it was a 3 of club. And if he was a 3 of club, what is his other cards? All right, so 3 of club is here. This other card is a 3 of spade. Twenty-ninth, 2 plus 9, it's 11. Equals 2. He's a 5 of heart. All right, so today his experience was his assassination attempt, or assassination the day he was assassinated. It's plate 77. Boom, boom, boom. Jump over to plate 77. See the manifestation of. Ooh, my gosh. Your boy has the 9 of spades at the very top. And this is in the position of that 8 of diamond. Remember I told you the 8 of diamond position, or the 8 of diamond card is the fame card. Yeah, so certainly he was in a position of fame and experienced the manifestation of this energy potential, and it was at the highest for this week. So we're going to go to 3 of club, and he was taken out of here on the 22nd, November 22nd. Week started on the 20th. Interesting enough, when I first ran through this preliminary, I was thinking that, he was a 3 of diamonds, so the 20th would be here, 21st would be there, 22nd would be a 9 of spades. But that was an inaccurate reading. So, you got to make sure whenever you're doing these that you double check your work, because oftentimes you could easily overlook or misapply, identify someone, and misread ultimately. And then, you might be trying to tell somebody, hey, watch out for this day, and it's really that day. And then you missed that day and they got. And they can be like, I thought you said. At that point, you got to get somebody their money back. You're doing inaccurate readings. All right. So, uh, three of diamond, three of club. Boom. Here we are. 20th, 21st, 22nd. Good God Almighty. He is a three of club, and the day of his death was on November 22nd. The day of his death, this was the card that he was on, and look where it's jammed up in between. The ace of spade, the nine of spade. Your boy JFK was caught in between a rock and a hard place as well. Oof. And then, the king of club energy, another energy that's like tied to stimulating these types of outcomes are the six of spade and the king of club. And anytime you have run-ins with like law enforcement, from what I've observed in my natural experience, I've had these two particular cards involved: a king of club and a six of spade. Right? King of club is very authoritative energy, and here we see the ten of club, which is in the public. Uh, Ace of spade, nine of spade. I'm not gonna go too deep there. So what more do we need to look at? All right, let's go to from JFK to MLK, and then actually no, let's go do Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi. Y'all remember Muammar Gaddafi? I'll tell you one thing that you never heard about Muammar Gaddafi. I'll tell you two things. One you may have heard of, the other one I know you haven't heard of. The one that you may have heard of about Muammar Gaddafi was that, the United States killed him for a particular reason, right? It was behind his assassination. A lot of people have actually heard of that, or they arrived at that conclusion on themselves based on the context tied to what he was doing at that moment in time and how that was going to disrupt the geopolitical and economical playing field, was bringing a currency in Libya that was going to be backed by gold. Okay. That's like one of them. The one thing that you haven't heard of is that Muammar Gaddafi gave $1 million to the Nation of Islam, and he had more funds to give into the Nation of Islam. And so we know during this time, the rise of the Nation of Islam and Black Panther Party, the United States, even the director of the FBI had identified the organization of Black communities into organizations as the number one threat to national security. And there's like a quote, you can look it up, by J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI at the time, of the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Movement, the original BLM, not this Black Lives Matter bullshit. Excuse me. It's supposed to be child friendly. But anyhow, yeah, so Muammar Gaddafi was giving Nation of Islam millions of dollars, and they definitely the United States definitely had a problem with that. All right, because imagine a Black organization funded at that level. Just total transformation. So let's go to him. Birthday was June 7th. June 7th. June 7th. It was a 10 of diamond. And what's the 10 of diamond, y'all? The 10 of diamond is referred to as the blessed money card. It's like one of the most abundant experiences in wealth, assets, property, and value. And so the irony, the coincidence, the alignment, with that being your boy Muammar Gaddafi's psychology, something else you probably didn't know about him. His net worth, 70 billion. And he was breaking off crumbs to the Nation of Islam, trying to send millions. So, oh yeah, we got to get him up out of there, because he really finna fund the institutions and reorganization of Black Americans who have been suppressed by institutions of colonization, deprivation of knowledge of self. Gotta get him out of there. We're gonna mess up the game. All right, so let's look at your boy Muammar Gaddafi. Shout out to your boy Muammar Gaddafi for, you know what I'm saying, rocking and associating with Black Americans so much that he was trying to dish out that amount of financial resource to our community. His date of death was October 20th. And so the plate that corresponds to that is plate 7. And Muammar Gaddafi is a 10 of diamond. Blessed money card sitting on 70 billion. It's crazy. Plate 7. 10 of diamond. What's his other cards? 8 of spade, 3 of spade. Death day was on the 20th. We're starting the week on the 18th, and it is a Tuesday. 18th as a Tuesday. Here's the 10 of diamond. Boom, boom, boom. And then there's other cards, 8 of spade and 3 of spade. So 18th, 19th, 20, the 7 of heart day. 7 of heart day is like illusion. 7 energy of the 7 of heart is like illusional, like things not being what they seem, like deceit in your environment and with people. That's 7 of heart, right? On the dysfunctional side. There's other cards, 8 of spade at the top right here. 18th, 19th, 20. And there's other card, 3 of spade. Up here. 18th, 19th, 20. All right. So where are the energy potentials and the manifestation thereof? You have a 9 of heart right above the 9 of spade. 9 of heart represents loss of a loved one, disappointment, you know, a great loss, universal loss. And then what do we say? 4 of spade? Oh, 3 of spade. Yeah, 3 of spade, 8 of spade, and 10 of diamonds. 1, 2, and 3, deception. So that's just another example. I would like to say that, you know, additionally, you know, we can look at the energy potentials on an hourly. And these are just some examples that we have here for being able to advocate that first and foremost, we all apply ourselves at this level of awareness, because back onto the plate that Kobe was on and Charlie Kirk was on and George Floyd was in the plate before. The whole point here is ace of diamond. And when you have a loss of life, a value life, you know, you're losing. That's wealth that's tied to your bloodline. And by us having our wings clipped too early, you know, we are removing the ability to secure our families through our own self-worth and value. And so the call to action here is, like, if you know anybody that, you know, who might be high profile and who probably could utilize a service like this, send them our way. Send us an email at defense@Key2Cellph.org. And that is our presentation for today. Appreciate you for rocking out with this far. Oh.